Hello, Star Wars fans. Today, I thought I'd talk about how Disney and Lucasfilm misinterpreted the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's safe to say that Hollywood saw money signs after the Avengers took the box office by storm. Warner Brothers decided to create the DC Cinematic Universe. Universal decided to create the Dark Universe. And Disney already had Marvel Studios, but they saw the largest movie franchise in history, Star Wars, languishing since the prequels, and they decided to make a Star Wars cinematic universe. So Disney bought Lucasfilm from George Lucas for $4 billion in 2012, and at the end of 2015, Disney and Lucasfilm announced that they were going to put out a Star Wars movie every year as long as audiences were willing to buy tickets. It's the same as how Marvel Studios is putting out 1 or 2 movies every year for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That was a smart takeaway from the MCU because everyone saw how much money a cinematic universe could pull in. And Star Wars has, or at least had, the largest movie franchise fan base of all time. However, Disney and Lucasfilm saw that the most popular movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was dominating the box office, were full of gags. And their takeaway from these movies, full of gags, was that the movie culture liked and enjoyed gags. Which is why they are so prevalent in the Star Wars movies produced by Disney. What they didn't realize was that the gags weren't being enjoyed so much as they were being accepted due to the source material. In comics, there is limited space to work with, a certain number of pages. And so when you are trying to convey a character's personality, you really don't have the time or the space to do exposition dumps, which means you have to convey the character's personality through one-liners and gags. And comic fans expect that in their comic book movies. So it's accepted, even though if you go to like the movie subreddit on Reddit, they often complain how the characters all have one-liners and they feel the same because of that. However, they do accept that it is going to happen in a comic book movie. However, Star Wars is based on mythology and epic tales that have survived for millennia. And those type of stories used to be told in oral verse, which means that the tale had to keep the audience absorbed. And if they told a gag that made the audience laugh, it would detract from the story because now the audience is looking around going, that was so funny. And then they totally forget the flow of the story. So gags are not appropriate for a movie that is based on mythological epics. And these new Disney Star Wars movies decided to go along with the gags because they thought it was what the current movie culture enjoys, but it's not. It's something that even comic book fans dislike in comic book movies. And the thing is, they are vocal about it, at least on the forum threads. However, I'm sure Hollywood analysts are like, no, it doesn't mean anything because they're still buying tickets and they're full of gags, so gags are good. They like it because of gags no matter what they say. And this is the type of thing where numbers can lie in some cases. And so that was one bad takeaway from the MCU by Disney and Lucasfilm. Also, the MCU doesn't have to waste time filling out the backstory for characters as they appear in later films. They just have to get the characters right. All the backstory and fleshing out of characters was done in films leading up to the crossover movies and their sequels. This is also something Disney Star Wars messes up. Lucasfilm looked at the most recent MCU films where the characters pretty much have the same personality and humor throughout whole movies and thought character development was not needed, fully ignoring the fact that the reason the MCU can do that is because of all their hero origin movies from years ago setting up this money-making opportunity. When Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, Iron Man had already come out, Captain America had already come out, Thor had already come out. So when they were making the newest Star Wars movies, when they were actually making their first Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, they were looking at films that were coming out later where they could just skip character development and just throw in action. I mean, there were storylines, like characters did stuff, bad things happened to them, and then they come out on top. But their personality and humor and one-liners and gags all sounded the same throughout. And so Disney looked at that, and that's what they decided to put in their films. Disney decided against fully fleshing out their new characters in exchange for more gags and more action, since that's what the newer MCU films are chock full of. They're just trying to copy the MCU without realizing they should have been looking at the original trilogy and looking to their roots in mythology. So yeah, the current movie landscape of superhero movies definitely affected the way that Lucasfilm portrayed the new Star Wars films. You can't escape it. Which is just silly when you think about it, because they could have been producing 1 or 2 Star Wars movies every year, and the fan base would have been happy if Disney and Lucasfilm had just looked to their own source material instead of looking elsewhere with greed at someone else's work. They had a wonderful, wonderful extended universe that they threw out that they could have worked with, and decided to throw out everything that was the original Star Wars in favor of what's currently going on today. And George Lucas was a visionary, and he made a film series that was different from the movie landscape at the time, which was dark and dreary, and made something fun and lighthearted. So it stood out. He did not copy what was going on currently at his time of making Star Wars. And that's something Disney and Lucasfilm should consider in the future, is making something that's not like a superhero movie, that's not full of gags, that has character development, that looks to the extended universe for movie ideas instead of comic books. If you've listened this far, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this content. Click the like button below if you really enjoyed this video. And why don't you take a look at some of my other content? Thank you for listening. Have a great day.